one of my hobbies is yard work and gardening. And from what you can see here is I have kind of let my yard go to waste over the last part of the fall and the summertime, and yard needs to be cut and trees and bushes need to be tended to. But one of the things that I look for in nature is a way to use what the land gives me back, what the trees give me back for my gardens, whether that be vegetable gardens or flower beds. And I planted this tree about 14 years ago, and got it from another state and brought it into my state and planted it. I planted it with about 20 of its buddies, and this is the only one that actually survived. And what it has provided me so far are a lot of pine cones, which I enjoy. You can make lots of things with pine cones. You can feed the birds with pine cones, putting peanut butter on it and then rolling it in bird seed and hanging it up. That's a good fun activity I did when I was a child. But it also provided a bunch of this pine straw. And I have another pine tree that the birds gave to me a couple of years ago further up into the yard, where it's also providing pine straw for me. And the pine straw I will most likely use in my flower beds to keep the weeds down. Now granted, this soda can did not grow on this pine tree. I put it here because I found it in my yard and I was going to use it. I used the pine tree to keep it there while I recorded this video and gathered my thoughts. There are lots of things laying on the ground that I need to pick up. What I'll end up using the twigs and the branches for, I'm going to have a raised bed up front, and I'm going to use the downed limbs as the bottom portion of the raised bed, so I don't have to buy so much. Oh, look at that! I don't even see there, not. But there's a nasty spider. I'm not going that way. But this is an apple tree that has seen better days. It had a buddy right there, but the buddy died a while ago. And this one has looks like a privet hedge growing in the bottom of it. So I need to do my best to save this tree as if I can. I do get apples every year on it, but they're not. Oh, looks like I ran through another spider web. Is that pine straw hanging right there? Oh, it's got to get out of here. I do get apples from it, but not enough to write home about, so to speak. Not enough to build apple pie off of. I do need to cut my grass. I need to work on getting these ant mounds out of this yard. I needed my dog to come along here, but she's not coming fast enough for me. I'm moving along into my yard, and you can see the rest of what I've got. Not done very much towards the hobby of gardening. I do gardening between March and July, and after July I let it go, and that's not very good. What I want to try to do next year is to continue the garden past July. My dog's got other plans for me, so I'm going in a circle so she doesn't get behind me. That's more of a pit right there that I have trash limbs in. This is actually the beginning of a garden, but I've got to get all these tall weeds cut down so we can actually get into the garden. Here's some more limbs that are downed. So I've got leaves I can pull up. Leaves can be used as mulch, as well as the pine straw can be. These spiders are everywhere. Look, there's a nice thick web right there, and I'm not going to go that way. So I got to work on getting these spiders out of here. The trees I have, I think, are Bradford pears. If anyone knows what these actually are, they can write in the comments, but I think these are Bradford pears, not something that you can eat, not human wise. I think the birds eat a lot of that stuff. The flowers are white, and they stink when they bloom. I know there's a word for that kind of tree, but I'm not gonna say it. But I have two big magnolia trees in the backyard. My wife likes magnolia trees. This was a hobby that disappeared. Put rocks around in a circle, and I was going to have a fire pit in the middle, and it was going to be a nice place to come out and sit and roast marshmallows and whatnot, and that kind of fell by the wayside. I didn't get into that. Here is a fig tree, which gives me figs every year, and then the field mice come and they take the figs, or the birds come and take the figs, and then I'm left with this dead thing until springtime. This is my garden. It doesn't look very well right now. It's pretty much all overgrown. I need to get in here with the weed eater and the hedger and the bush hogger and get all this taken care of and straighten things out and try to make it good for to winter over, so that when the spring gets here I'll be able to have a good garden. This is a blueberry bush that came up from North Carolina, or down from North Carolina. It was in my parents' yard when we moved into this house years ago, and it has given me a lot of blueberries, at least three Ziploc bags full, pint-sized Ziploc bags full. To me, that's a lot. These trees that are coming in, they need to come out. That's a brand new tree right there, I see. And it needs to, or it's a cut down tree actually, but it needs to come out because it's taking the water away from this, hang on, the name's coming, rosemary bush. This rosemary bush was the corner of this garden. At one point in time, the garden didn't go all the way over there. It stopped here and was just this small little spot here, and I've expanded the garden, but I've expanded it so much I think now that it's gotten to be a bit too big for me. And these trees, as beautiful as they are and the shade that they provide, they're taking the water from the rosemary, and the rosemary is looking all dead there, and it's got some greenery up there. It still produces rosemary leaves. It still produces the scent. It still produces the herb. I just walked through a spider web. And my dog has gone underneath the hose. Lovely. All right, coming on through. Let's see, I have all my tools I failed to take inside, and I left them sit out there, so they're probably not the best condition. Here's the other side of the garden. I am planning on, in my head, you know how hobbyists are, we tend to have lots of good ideas and then they fall flat on our faces, and then I pick up another hobby, and the other hobby goes for a while and it falls flat, and just in time I pick up another hobby. So over in the far side I had okra, and it was doing really well until the deer came in and ate it. All these poles that are standing up, I had 23 different varieties, not varieties, but 23 different tomato plants, and they did really well. I had a lot of tomatoes this year. Was able to make 2 batches of spaghetti sauce. In the front here I had some peas. In the back side I had some pole beans. I didn't realize exactly how to grow pole beans. I made some discoveries this year, so next year I'll have, or next spring, March, April, I'll have a better handle on growing the pole beans. Here in this mess that you can't hardly see is actually a raised bed. That area right there is a raised bed of cinder blocks, 3 cinder blocks high and about 7 or 8 in length. Underneath the bottom set of cinder blocks is wood and cardboard and all kinds of refuge and grass clippings and everything needed to mulch as time goes on. The top cinder block level has potting soil and peat moss and cow manure and everything that the top pieces would need, and it was growing really good. And I had pole beans in there, and again didn't know how pole bean was going to grow and how far it was going to grow. It was looking really great, but then again the deer came in and got me. So one of my projects that I'm going to have this winter time is I'm going to extend, my dog has me wrapped up, excuse me. I'm going to extend, why is it not working now? I think because we have a mess. Sorry, the cord that I hold my dog with has spider web caught up in it, and it won't retract like it's supposed to. It's causing me to be rambling. Anyway, come winter time, or as weekends come. I work during the day, so I don't have time to come out here during the day and play in the dirt again. But there's a pole right there, if you can see it, that starts a fence that goes that way. I'm going to connect another fence to it and come this way. And then my goal is to encapsulate the entire garden and fencing with a gate, of course, so I can get in. All this fodder comes down when it gets to be, when all the tops come off. It's really good tinder. The top part makes great tinder. It'll light up in a heartbeat. The bottom part makes great for firewood. So you can put your the coal that you get from your fires back into the soil, not generously, but sparingly. If your soil needs potash, that's the best way to get potash, unless you want to go out and buy potash and then spread it out as you need it in that respect. But for the most part, all my potash comes from burning the lumber that I have in my yard. And they provided weeds that come up as sticks. They actually provide good lumber as well. Some of the weeds actually, like that thing growing right there, I believe that's a weed of some sort. That's going to be good branches and stems for the pole beans to stand them up. Again, it's about sustaining whatever the land can give me. I'm going to use. I was really hoping that there wouldn't be so many spiders in this yard. There's another one just hanging around. I thought it was a moth swinging, but nope, that's a spider swinging. I wanted to go in there and check out my rest of those pole beans, just because I have carrots in there somewhere. But I'm gonna wait for another day when I can come out here with gloves on and proper utensils and put the phone up on a tripod and be able to really check into things. I don't know if you can notice it or not, but that clump of white flowery stuff right there, that actually is basil, and those are basil seed pods coming up for it's going to seed, basically going in a different way. Hopefully there's no spider. Yes, I don't like spiders. Okay, we figured that out. Don't like spiders at all. But this is all basil right here, and it all went to seed. I could come through here and pull all that out and put it in little paper bags. I'll let it go to seed a little further so they get a little darker. But yeah, that was a shame. That was a beautiful. It had tomatoes on this end. Looks like there may still be some tomatoes there. I touched the basil, I can smell it now. And somewhere in there I've got carrots inside the hedge line. And then this whole area here was pole beans, and they just went forever. It really made me a little sad and irritated that the deer decided to come in and eat. But it is what it is when you're out in the country. I'd like to get that swing set up better so that wife and I can come out and swing. There's a lot to do out here. I've let this hobby kind of go to waste. Other things happened in my life. I got other hobbies going, but other things happened that you just have to wait for a weekend to come around or early evening to come around and take care of things, like that mess on the back door. That needs to come down. That doesn't need to be there. I get bugs and all kinds of things into the house, so I need to take care of that. Lots needs to happen down here. Right here is a cactus bed that has gone to waste, and I need to take care of it. Surrounded by cinder blocks. I'm going to take the cinder blocks up, look at the bed piece by piece, kind of cut these weeds and grass down around the edges of it, try to pick up some of that stuff area, figure out where the actual cactus is, reposition it, get rid of the cinder blocks and put around landscaping blocks to make the bed look better and able better to be taken care of. Walking on further. Come on, let's go. This is another bed that I need to take care of better. This is where my air conditionings reside. I would like to have them bricked out, and then all this be cut out and then sprayed down with a weed killer or grass killer or whatever, so that it's more of a deserty look, kind of a feel with rocks in there, so that when the weed eater guys, excuse me, when the air conditioning guys come through to service air conditioners, they're not killing themselves trying to get past the weeds and whatnot. Plus, you don't want the weeds and the leaves growing up and sucking into the machines. So part of the sustainability piece is to pick up all these pieces of old weed that were in there and let it rot down, and then use it for mulch. My dog and I have different walking habits. Wherever she goes, I think she tells me that's where I need to go. So we're gonna make it rounding the house. And my next project, I had this project about 10 years ago. This was a flower bed for my wife. I had these landscaping bricks on the outside. It looked really good. But then the weeds got in, the grass got in there. I dug it all out and put good dirt in there, and the grass still found a way to get back in there. So I want to work on this. Either I'm going to stop it here and let the landscaping bricks go right to the edge of the sidewalk, and then make all this grass, and then put raised beds here that are easier to control, I believe, and to take care of than regular grass, because the grass grows up from the bottom, and I got weeds within weeks, and then I get discouraged, and then it just goes away. So I can take the rest of these landscaping bricks off of here and use them in other places in the yard. So I think that's what I'm going to try that, experimenting. That's the biggest thing about having your own yard, is you can experiment and do with it as you wish. So that wraps up the tour for the sustainable gardening.